The sun rose gently over the kingdom of Enchantia, filling the sky with soft shades of pink and gold. Inside the royal castle, everyone was busy and cheerful. Birds were singing in the gardens, and servants were polishing the silver for breakfast. But in Princess Sophia's room, something very exciting was about to happen. Sophia woke up with a smile on her face. Today was not an ordinary day. It was a day her family would make a special announcement at breakfast. Her stepmother, Queen Miranda, had been keeping a secret for days, and King Roland had been smiling mysteriously whenever Sophia asked questions. Sophia's heart was full of curiosity. What could it be? She wondered as Clover, her talking rabbit, munched on a carrot near her bed. Maybe it's a royal feast, Clover guessed, or maybe you're getting a new shiny crown. Sophia laughed. Or maybe it's something even bigger, Clover. I can feel it. When Sophia reached the royal dining hall, her sister Amber and brother James were already there. Amber was admiring her reflection in her teacup, while James was stacking pieces of toast like castle towers. "Good morning, Sophia," Amber said, smiling warmly. "You look extra happy today." "I am. Don't you wonder what the surprise is?" Sophia replied, sitting between them. James grinned. "If it's a surprise from Dad, it has to be something fun. Maybe he's taking us on a royal adventure." Just then, the tall golden doors opened, and King Roland and Queen Miranda walked in hand. The royal trumpets played softly as they took their seats, the air filled with excitement. The king looked around at his children, smiling proudly. "My dear children," he began, "today we have wonderful news to share. Our family will soon grow bigger." Amber's spoon froze halfway to her mouth. James blinked in surprise. Sophia gasped softly. "Grow bigger?" she repeated. "Do you mean?" Queen Miranda nodded, her eyes sparkling. "Yes, Sophia, you're going to have a baby brother or sister." For a moment, the whole room was silent. Then Amber clapped her hands with delight. "A baby? Oh, how adorable. I can already picture the little clothes." James jumped up. "That's awesome. I'm going to teach the baby how to play flying derby when it grows up." Sophia sat quietly, smiling but feeling something strange in her heart. She was happy, of course she was, but also nervous. What would it be like to have another brother or sister? She already had Amber and James. Would the baby like her? Would everyone still have time for her? Seeing the thoughts on her face, Queen Miranda reached out and touched Sophia's hand gently. "Sweetheart, I know it's a big change, but you'll be a wonderful big sister." Sophia's smile grew brighter. "I'll try my best," she said softly. After breakfast, the castle buzzed with joy. Servants prepared decorations for a family celebration, and the royal chef baked a special cake shaped like a cradle. Amber couldn't stop talking about royal baby fashion, and James was already thinking of fun games to play when the baby grew older. But Sophia's thoughts were different. She wandered into the royal garden, where flowers swayed in the breeze and butterflies fluttered all around. She sat near the fountain, her reflection rippling in the water. Clover hopped beside her. "You okay, kid?" he asked. "You look like you swallowed a whole carrot sideways." Sophia giggled softly. "I'm fine, Clover. It's just everything's changing again. When Mom married King Roland, I became a princess. Then I got a new brother and sister. Now there's going to be a baby, too." Clover nodded. "Yeah, that's a lot for one kid. But you handled the first big change like a champ. Remember how you learned to fit in here? You'll figure this out, too." Sophia smiled gratefully. "Thanks, Clover. I hope I can be the kind of big sister the baby can count on." That evening, as the stars began to twinkle over the castle, Sophia stood on her balcony, looking at the sky. She thought about all the things she could teach the new baby: how to ride Minimus the flying horse, how to be kind to others, and how to always believe in magic and goodness. Then she looked at Amber's window, glowing softly with pink light, and at James's, where laughter could be heard. She realized how lucky she was to have them both, and how wonderful it would be to share her love with one more sibling. The next morning, the castle held a joyful announcement celebration. People from all over Enchantia came to give their blessings. The king spoke proudly, and the queen's smile shone brighter than ever. Sophia stood beside Amber and James, holding their hands. She still didn't know if the baby would be a boy or a girl, but she knew one thing for sure. Her heart had plenty of room for one more brother or sister. As the trumpets played and the crowd cheered, Sophia whispered to herself, "A new chapter begins." And deep down, she could already feel that this baby would bring more magic, love, and adventure into their royal lives than anyone could ever imagine. Weeks passed quickly in the royal castle of Enchantia. The whole kingdom buzzed with excitement as everyone prepared for the arrival of the royal baby. From the tallest tower to the tiniest teacup, every corner of the castle seemed to sparkle with joy. Sophia, Amber, and James helped as much as they could. Amber was in charge of decorating the royal nursery with soft pink curtains, golden ribbons, and tiny crowns painted on the walls. James picked out the perfect toy chest and filled it with stuffed animals and wooden blocks. Sophia, meanwhile, made something special. A little blanket she stitched herself with help from her mother's seamstress. It was lavender and white, just like the colors of her gown, and she sewed a small S on the corner for Sophia's love. One bright morning, while the children were finishing breakfast, King Roland entered the hall with a glowing smile. "Children," he said warmly, "today is the day. The baby is coming soon." Amber gasped so loudly her spoon dropped into her porridge. "Today? Oh, this is so exciting. I need to pick my best gown for the baby's first picture." James jumped up from his chair. "I'm going to tell Bailiwick and the guards so everyone's ready." Sophia's eyes widened. A baby today? Her heart fluttered with joy and a little nervousness. She rushed to Queen Miranda's room, where her mother was resting, surrounded by kind nurses and the royal doctor. Miranda smiled when she saw her daughter. "Sophia, my dear, it's time. The baby will be here soon." Sophia gently hugged her mother. "I love you, Mom," she whispered. "You'll be okay, right?" Queen Miranda stroked her hair. "Of course, sweetheart. Go wait with your brother and sister. I'll see you very soon, with someone new." The hours passed slowly. Sophia, Amber, and James waited outside the royal chamber. They sat together, whispering excited guesses. "I bet it's a girl," Amber said confidently. "We can share dresses and hair ribbons." "No way," James laughed. "It's going to be a boy, a brave little prince like me." Sophia smiled softly. "I don't mind if it's a boy or a girl. I just hope the baby's healthy and happy." Finally, as the castle clock struck noon, the door opened. King Roland stepped out, his eyes shining brighter than ever. He spread his arms wide. "Children," he announced proudly, "you have a baby, sister." Amber squealed and hugged Sophia tightly. James grinned from ear to ear. "A sister? That's awesome." Sophia's eyes sparkled. "A baby sister? Oh, I can't wait to meet her." King Roland led them quietly into the room. Queen Miranda was resting on the bed, looking peaceful and happy. In her arms lay a tiny baby wrapped in the lavender and white blanket Sophia had made. The little one had rosy cheeks, soft curls of dark hair, and the sweetest smile. Sophia stepped closer, her heart beating fast. "She's so small," she whispered. Miranda smiled. "Would you like to hold her?" Sophia nodded carefully. Her mother placed the baby gently in her arms. Sophia held her close, amazed by how light and warm she felt. The baby opened her tiny eyes and blinked at Sophia, as if already recognizing her big sister. "Hello, little one," Sophia said softly. "I'm your sister, Sophia. I'll always be here for you." Amber leaned in, giggling. "She's adorable. Look at her tiny fingers." James made funny faces, and everyone's delight, the baby gave the tiniest laugh, a sound like music. King Roland chuckled. "She likes you already, James." After a while, the royal bells rang across the kingdom. The news spread quickly. Princess Liana of Enchantia had been born. People cheered. Fireworks sparkled over the castle, and even the magical creatures of the forest came out to celebrate. That night, a grand feast was held in the ballroom. But Sophia stayed close to her new sister's cradle, watching her sleep peacefully under the twinkling stars shining through the window. Amber danced around excitedly, and James showed off his big brother pose to anyone who would listen. But for Sophia, The world felt calm and perfect. She couldn't stop smiling as she whispered, "Welcome to the family, Liana." Over the next few days, the castle was filled with laughter and lullabies. Everyone took turns caring for the baby. Amber loved dressing her in tiny gowns. James told her silly stories, and Sophia sang gentle lullabies she learned from her mother. One evening, while Miranda rested, Sophia volunteered to watch over Liana. She sat beside the cradle, humming softly. The baby stirred and reached out a little hand, wrapping her fingers around Sophia's. At that moment, Sophia felt something magical deep in her heart, a new kind of love, pure and endless. She realized being a big sister wasn't just about helping. It was about protecting, guiding, and loving with all her heart. Later that night, Clover hopped into the nursery and whispered, "So, how's life with the royal baby?" Sophia smiled. "It's amazing, Clover. She's tiny, but she makes everything feel big, especially my heart." Clover chuckled. "Well, don't forget, babies cry a lot too. You might need earplugs." Sophia giggled quietly. "I don't mind. I'll be here for her, no matter what." And as the moonlight touched the cradle, Sophia watched her baby sister dream peacefully. She knew that this was just the beginning of a new story, one filled with love, lessons, and the unbreakable bond between sisters and brothers. Months passed, and Princess Liana grew quickly. The castle was filled with new sounds, soft giggles, happy squeals, and sometimes loud cries that echoed down the golden halls. Everyone in the royal family adored the baby. The once quiet nursery had become the heart of the castle, glowing with laughter and love. Sophia was especially close to her baby sister. Every morning, before her royal lessons, she would tiptoe into the nursery to greet Liana. "Good morning, sunshine," she would whisper, brushing a tiny curl from the baby's forehead. And every time, Liana would reach out with her little hands and smile. That smile made Sophia's heart melt. Amber loved showing Liana her shiny jewelry and letting her touch the sparkly gems, even though the baby sometimes tried to put them in her mouth. James, on the other hand, was the funny one. He made silly faces and noises that made Liana laugh, so hard her whole body wiggled with joy. But Sophia was the calm one, the one Liana looked at when she was scared, tired, or fussy. Whenever Liana cried, Sophia sang softly, and the baby quieted almost instantly. Queen Miranda often smiled and said, "You have the magic touch, Sophia." One afternoon, as the golden light poured through the nursery windows, Sophia was playing peekaboo with Liana. The baby clapped her little hands and laughed so loudly that even Clover came hopping in. "What's all the noise?" Clover joked. "Sounds like a party for tiny people." Sophia laughed. "It is, Clover. Liana's learning new games every day." "Looks like she's got your sparkle," Clover said, twitching his nose. "Maybe she'll be a magical princess, too, someday." Sophia smiled at the thought. "Maybe she will. I'll teach her everything I know." Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Liana began crawling, first slowly, then quickly enough to make everyone chase after her. She loved exploring, especially the castle gardens where butterflies fluttered around. One sunny morning, Sophia took Liana outside for her first real walk in the royal garden. She held her little hands and helped her take tiny steps on the soft grass. Amber followed close behind with a fancy parasol, and James ran ahead, pretending to be a guard protecting the princesses. "You're doing it, Liana." Sophia cheered as the baby took 3 careful steps on her own before falling softly into the flowers. Amber giggled. "Oh, she's going to be walking all around the castle soon. I hope she doesn't touch my perfumes." James laughed. "Or my toy swords." Sophia lifted Liana and kissed her cheek. "Don't worry, we'll keep an eye on her together." That evening at dinner, King Roland proudly announced, "Our little princess took her first steps today." The whole table cheered. Queen Miranda smiled warmly. "Our family keeps growing stronger, just like our hearts." Later that night, as the stars glittered outside, Sophia sat on her bed writing in her royal diary. She wrote about how wonderful it felt to watch Liana grow, and how being a big sister made her see the world differently. She paused and looked out the window, where she could see Amber's room glowing pink and James's lantern flickering blue. She whispered, "We're all growing, together." But being a big sister wasn't always easy. Some mornings, Liana would wake up crying very early, and Sofia had to help the nurse calm her down. Other times, Amber wanted to play princess dress-up while James wanted to play knights, and both wanted Sofia to join them at once. Sometimes Sofia felt torn between her siblings, trying to make everyone happy. One day, when the baby cried during their tea time, Amber frowned. "Sofia, can't you make her stop? We're trying to have royal tea." Sofia gently rocked the baby. "She's just tired. Amber, she'll settle down soon." Amber sighed. "I just miss when we had quiet afternoons together." Sofia looked at her sister and smiled softly. "I do too. But maybe we can make new memories with Liana." Amber hesitated, then nodded. "Maybe she can sit with us when she's older. I'll even give her her own tiny teacup." Sofia laughed. "That sounds perfect." That night, when Sofia tucked Liana into her cradle, she whispered, "You've brought us even closer, little one. We're learning to be better sisters and brothers because of you." Clover, sitting nearby, yawned. "You know, Sofia, you're not just growing up, you're growing into your heart." Sofia smiled sleepily. Maybe that's what being family really means. As time went on, Liana started speaking her first words. The whole family gathered to listen when she said "mama," then "dada," and finally, one bright morning, she looked at Sofia and said, "Sia?" Sofia gasped. "She said my name." "Well, almost." Amber clapped her hands. "Oh, that's adorable." James grinned. "Looks like you're her favorite, Sofia." Sofia's heart swelled with happiness. She leaned down and whispered, "I'll always be here for you, Liana. Always." And as the castle lights flickered softly that night, the royal family of Enchantia rested in peace, stronger, closer, and more loving than ever before. Sofia knew that growing together wasn't always easy, but it was the most magical adventure of all. Life in the royal castle of Enchantia had never been brighter. Princess Liana was now a cheerful toddler who filled every hallway with laughter. She loved to run around, chasing butterflies, hugging her siblings, and exploring every corner she could find. But as Liana grew more active, things also started to get a little complicated. One sunny morning, Sofia was sitting in her room, painting a picture of the royal garden. She had carefully mixed the colors and was adding small butterflies when she heard a familiar giggle. Before she could turn around, a tiny hand reached over the table and splash! A big purple blob of paint landed right in the middle of her picture. "Liana!" Sofia gasped, standing up quickly. The little princess laughed, her hands covered in paint. "Pretty," she said proudly. Sofia wanted to be upset, but when she saw Liana's bright eyes and joyful smile, she sighed and smiled softly. "It's okay, little one. Maybe we can paint together next time." Just then, Amber walked in, holding a golden box of jewelry. "Oh no! Look at your hands, Liana. You're all messy. Stay away from my necklaces, please." James peeked through the door, laughing. "Ha! I told you she's faster than a racing derby horse." Amber frowned. "James, this isn't funny. My gems are sparkling targets for tiny hands." Sofia wiped Liana's hands gently and said, "She doesn't mean any harm. She just wants to be part of what we do." Amber crossed her arms. "Maybe, but it's hard to share when she keeps touching everything." Later that day, during their family picnic in the royal garden, the same problem returned. Amber was arranging her tea set, James was building a fort with cushions, and Sofia was helping their mother set the food. But Liana, being curious and playful, wanted to join in everything at once. She grabbed a cookie from Amber's plate, knocked over James's fork, and ran toward Sofia with crumbs on her cheeks. "Liana," James groaned, "that was my last cookie." Amber sighed dramatically. She's too little for tea time and too wild for forts. What can she do? Sofia gently lifted Liana into her lap. "She's just trying to be with us," she said quietly. "She looks up to all of us." Queen Miranda, who had been watching from nearby, smiled softly. "Maybe it's time we all learn a little about sharing, together, That evening, the queen gathered the three older children in the music room. Being brothers and sisters, she said kindly, means learning to love, share, and understand each other. Liana is still learning, and she learns by watching you. Amber looked thoughtful. So, if I share with her, she'll learn to share too? Exactly, Miranda replied. The best lessons come from love, not from words. The next morning, Sofia decided to plan something special. She called Amber and James into her room. I have an idea, she said, her eyes bright. Let's spend a whole day just with Liana, doing things she can enjoy too. James scratched his head. Like what? She's too little for flying derby. Amber tapped her chin. Maybe a royalty party, but with toys instead of glass cups. Sofia smiled. Perfect. We can have a royal family play day. The three of them worked all morning. They spread soft blankets in the garden, set up toy dishes, and even made a tiny crown out of flowers for Liana. When everything was ready, Sofia brought their little sister outside. Liana's eyes went wide. Wow, she gasped. Amber handed her a small teacup and said gently, Here, your royal highness. This is for you. James bowed dramatically. And I'll be your royal guard, Princess Liana. Liana giggled and clapped her hands. Play, play. The day turned into a magical one. They played pretend games, built sandcastles, and danced under the sunlight. Amber taught Liana how to curtsy. James helped her balance a toy sword very carefully. And Sofia told her a gentle bedtime story under the shade of the trees. By sunset, everyone was laughing, tired, and happy. Even Amber admitted, She's actually kind of fun to be around. James smiled. Yeah, when she's not stealing my snacks. Sofia looked at both of them, her eyes full of warmth. See? Sharing our time made everything better. That night, as Sofia helped Liana into bed, the little girl hugged her tightly and whispered, Love you, Sia. Sofia's eyes glistened. I love you too, little sister. After Liana fell asleep, Sofia stood by the window, watching the moonlight fill the nursery. She thought about her mother's words. How love was the greatest lesson of all. Clover hopped up beside her. So, Princess Teacher, how was class today? Sofia giggled softly. I think we all learned something important, especially me. Clover tilted his head. And what's that? That sharing isn't just about toys or treats, Sofia said. It's about giving your time, your heart, and your patience. Clover smiled. Well said, kiddo. You're one wise sister. Sofia looked at her sleeping sister one last time and whispered, Being a big sister isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. And as the stars shimmered over the castle, the royal siblings dreamed sweet dreams of laughter, of kindness, and of the love that kept them together. The castle of Enchantia glowed softly under the summer sun. Flowers bloomed across the royal gardens, birds sang happily, and the air was filled with warmth and laughter. Life for Princess Sofia and her family had settled into a beautiful rhythm. Little Princess Liana was growing fast. She could now talk in full sentences, dress herself with a little help, and even run down the castle halls without tripping, most of the time. She adored her siblings more than anything. To her, Sofia, Amber, and James were her heroes. Every morning, Liana would race to Sofia's room first. Sia, wake up. Story time, she would say, jumping on her sister's bed. Sofia would laugh sleepily and pull her into a hug. Good morning, my little sunshine. Amber would then arrive with ribbons and brushes. Let's make your hair sparkle today, darling, she'd say, fixing Liana's curls. James, of course, would rush and lash a wooden sword, declaring, It's training time for the tiniest knight. Together, they filled the castle with love, fun, and mischief. But one cloudy morning, something changed. Liana woke up feeling tired and pale. She didn't run into Sofia's room. She didn't laugh or sing like usual. Instead, she stayed in bed, her small hand resting on her blanket. When Sofia came to wake her, she noticed right away that something was wrong. Liana? Sofia said softly, touching her forehead. It felt warm. Queen Miranda came quickly, followed by the royal doctor. It's just a little fever, the doctor said kindly. She needs rest and care. Even though the doctor's words were gentle, Sophia's heart fell heavy. Seeing her little sister weak and quiet was harder than she could ever imagine. For days, Liana stayed in bed. The castle grew strangely quiet without her laughter echoing through the halls. Amber spent her time making soft blankets to keep her warm. James brought her storybooks and tried to make her smile with his silly jokes. Sophia stayed by her side every moment she could. She fed her soup, sang lullabies, and read her favorite stories about brave princesses and magical creatures. One night, while Sophia sat beside Liana's bed, Clover hopped up beside her. "You look tired, kid. When's the last time you slept?" Sophia smiled weakly. "I can't sleep while she's sick, Clover. She needs me." Clover looked at Liana's peaceful face. "You've got a big heart, Sophia. But remember, even heroes need rest." Sophia nodded softly, but didn't leave her sister's side. She held Liana's hand and whispered, "You'll feel better soon, I promise." Days passed, and slowly, Liana began to recover. Her fever faded, her cheeks grew rosy again, and her tiny smile returned. One morning, she opened her eyes and whispered, "Sia?" Sophia gasped in relief. "Liana, you're awake." The little princess smiled weakly. "You stayed with me?" Sophia brushed her hair back. "Of course I did. I'll always stay with you." Queen Miranda and King Roland entered the room with tears of joy. Amber and James ran in, laughing and crying at the same time. Amber hugged Liana carefully. "You scared us, little one. Don't ever do that again." James grinned. "Yeah, the castle was too quiet without your noise." Everyone laughed softly, and the room filled with love again. As the days went by, Liana regained her strength. Soon, she was back to running in the halls, playing games, and filling the castle with her cheerful giggles. But something had changed, not just in Liana, but in everyone. They had learned what it truly meant to be a family. Not just to play together, but to care for one another when times were hard. One evening, as the sun dipped low behind the castle towers, Sophia took Liana up to the balcony. The sky glowed orange and pink, and the gentle wind carried the scent of blooming roses. "Look, Liana," Sophia said, pointing to the horizon. "That's our kingdom, full of people we love." Liana leaned against her shoulder. "And full of people who love us." Sophia smiled. "Exactly. And no matter what happens, we'll always have each other." Just then, Amber and James joined them. Amber brought sweet cakes from the kitchen, and James carried a blanket for them to sit on. "Family picnic on the balcony," James announced proudly. They all laughed and sat together under the evening sky. They talked about their favorite memories. Amber remembered Liana's first tea party. James talked about the time she tried to sword fight with a spoon, and Sophia smiled at how far they had all come. Later, as the stars twinkled above, Sophia looked at her siblings and said softly, "Do you know what I've learned?" Amber tilted her head. "What?" "That sisters and brothers are like stars," Sophia said. "Even when you can't see them, you know they're always there." Amber smiled. "That's beautiful, Sophia." James nodded. "Yeah, even if we argue or mess up, we'll always stick together." Liana clapped her little hands. Together forever. They all laughed and hugged tightly as the night grew darker and the stars shone brighter. Far below, the kingdom of Enchantia was peaceful, and up above, four royal siblings sat side by side. Hearts glowed with the purest kind of magic, love. Sophia looked at her family and whispered, "We're more than just sisters and brothers. We're each other's forever." And as the moonlight bathed the castle in silver light, it seemed to sparkle even more, because inside its walls lived the kindest royal family of all, one bound not by crowns or titles, but by love that would last a lifetime.